Unexplained horror, the cursed girl who melted from within. 3 doctors terrified to touch her in the dim light of her bedroom. 16-year-old Lila Jenkins felt a strange heat radiating from her skin. It was a night like any other until it wasn't. Distant echoes of laughter drifted in from the street outside, a chorus of innocence she once belonged to. But tonight, her fingers shimmered like ice under a relentless sun, petals of her skin peeling away, revealing a raw, glistening layer beneath. Panic began to claw at her throat as the warm, sticky sensation spread, creating a trap of fear around her heart. The television flickered, casting eerie shadows across the walls while she fought the rising tide of dread. It started with that first scratch, innocuous at first, but it felt like tearing fabric. She gazed down, eyes wide with horror, as delicate pieces of her skin fluttered away like ash in the wind. "What is happening to me?" she whispered to the empty room, her voice barely a breath. In the silence that enveloped her, she could almost hear the town's whispers again, those dreadful rumors coursing through the air like poison. As anxiety tightened its grip, Lila could sense the neighboring kids glancing at her from the cul-de-sac, their shadows retreating. They were scared. Of what? She wanted to scream, but the lump of isolation choked her. Her mother, Claire, who spent most days working 2 jobs just so they could afford rent, wouldn't be home for hours. Lila felt like an island, drifting further from the shores of normalcy. Dread knocked at the door of her mind. Echoes of a dark legend haunted Oakwood Pines, a curse tied to betrayal. 3 physicians, Dr. Hayes, Dr. Ramirez, and Dr. Whitman, would soon find themselves at the heart of this horror. Reluctantly, they were called to her aid, each cloaked in fears of their own. A shiver ran down Lila's spine as she imagined them, speculating silently in the sterile white of the hospital room. "Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Desperation grew like a wild vine around Claire's heart as she visited Lila in the hospital. The doctor's words echoed in her ears, a series of unknowns that were darker than the ominous clouds brewing outside. The room smelled of antiseptic and fear, the very air heavy with unspoken words. In the shadows, numbing silence gripped the corners, forcing her to confront the growing tension in their community. Outside their small apartment, messages carved in salt and dirt began to sprout, a warning from neighbors now paralyzed by what they thought was Lila's curse. The sight of those symbols had Claire trembling. No longer just a mother protecting her daughter, now, she was a woman against a town turned hostile. She could see it in her friend's eyes, cold and narrowing, every nod of sympathy now frayed and filled with treachery. As she pieced together the horror, a storm rumbled in the distance, an ominous harbinger of the truth waiting to unfold. Secrets clung to the town, ready to unravel the very fabric that kept them together. Even those who wore white coats held the tight grip of panic. The growing dread was inescapable, wrapping around them like a serpent. And deep within, Lila's cries echoed, drowning in an ocean of betrayal. What would become of her? As Claire held Lila's hand, the chilling realization dawned. In this suburban haven, the greatest danger lurked not in a curse but in the very people who had once called them neighbors. The wind howled outside, rattling the windows, each gust a mournful cry that crept through the cracks of Claire's resolve. A shiver coursed through her spine as she peered into Lila's vacant eyes, sunken and glossy like marbles tossed on a floor. Time blurred in that hospital room, each ticking second heavy with dread. What had she done to deserve this? The question hung in the air, unanswered and accusatory. Claire glanced at the door, hearing whispers float down the sterile hallway. It felt as if the shadows had grown, twisting and stretching like vines hungry for light. Every passing doctor and nurse cast wary glances, their faces masks of fear that only deepened her anxiety. The hushed conversations they shared were veiled in a shroud of quiet panic. She wondered if they knew something she didn't. If Lila's affliction was more than a simple ailment, was it a herald of doom, a sudden noise caused Claire to jump. The door swung open, and Dr. Hayes entered, his expression strained. "We need to talk." The sharpness of his tone sent a jolt of adrenaline through her veins. "Is it Lila? Is she?" Claire's voice trembled, but she didn't want to finish the sentence. "Her condition is unsettling." He hesitated, looking over his shoulder. "The tests reveal something unnatural." "What do you mean?" Her voice was a strained whisper, the weight of his words pressing down on her chest. "We found traces of something foreign in her blood. It's like the body is attacking itself, and we're not sure why." A scream echoed from somewhere down the hall, raw and filled with unfathomable terror. Claire's heart raced, pounding violently as the sound clawed at her sanity. Dr. Hayes' eyes went wide, and without another word, he turned on his heel and rushed back into the corridor. The sound was soon followed by the frantic footsteps of medical personnel. "Lila!" Claire cried out, fear knotting her stomach. She bolted out of the room, her breaths coming in shallow bursts. The commotion grew louder, and she could see figures fleeing. Fear morphed into panic as she raced towards the source of the terror. When she reached the nurse's station, she found chaos. Staff were shouting orders, eyes wide with horror. "Get the restraints!" someone yelled. "Lock down the floors!" Claire pushed through the chaos, grabbing a nurse by the arm. "What's happening?" "Patient in room 212 has gone wild. We can't contain her." The nurse's voice trembled, and Claire's heart sank. "Lila." The name slipped from her lips, heavy with dread. "Yes." The nurse wasn't able to finish as another scream pierced the air, sharp and twisted, horrifyingly inhuman. With newfound determination, Claire surged towards room 212, dread tightening around her. As she approached the door, a loud crash resonated from within, a sound too monstrous, too terrifying to belong to her daughter. She swung the door open, and what lay before her was a nightmarish tableau. Lila, once a sweet girl, now thrashed wildly among sheets that were stained a chilling shade of crimson. Skin rippled and shifted beneath a thick layer of something unnatural. Her face, once bright and innocent, was now ghostly pale, a sight that turned Claire's stomach. "Mom! Help me!" Lila screamed, her voice a blend of terror and pain. The room radiated a heatwave, almost unbearable, like standing too close to a fire. In that moment, Claire knew it wasn't just a curse. Something had been unleashed, a darkness that even her motherly love struggled to fathom. Was this betrayal? And who was the real monster in the end? As the very air thickened, the shadows in the corners whispered, twisting reality into a spine-chilling truth. The townsfolk were right to fear, they just didn't know what they were truly dealing with. Could Claire save her daughter, or was it already too late? Claire's heart raced as she stepped into room 212. The chaos within was suffocating. Lila's thrashing continued, frantic and wild, her voice a mix of primal rage and fear. White sheets were now drenched in scarlet, and the once sterile space felt like a hellscape, cloaked in shadows thick enough to choke on. "Mom, please!" Lila's words echoed off the walls like a desperate wail in an empty cathedral. But those pleading eyes were not her daughter's anymore. They seemed to have been overtaken by something dark, a malevolence that grinned behind a veil of anguish. "Lila!" Claire cried, reaching out instinctively. Without thinking, she stepped closer, her own heart pounding against her ribs. But as she crossed the threshold, the temperature dropped, a chill wrapping around her like an icy hand. She faltered, her resolve wavering. A shadow flitted in the corner of her vision. Claire whipped her head, catching a glimpse of something that made her blood run cold, a figure more black than any shadow. It melted seamlessly into the edges of the room, nearly invisible, lurking, watching. Anxiety throbbed at Claire's temples, a visceral reminder that danger wasn't just within Lila but lurking just beyond. "Get away from her." The words tumbled from Claire's lips, but she couldn't feel the ground beneath her. The shadow seemed to ripple in delight, and Lila's cruelty morphed into a wicked smile that split her face, a contrast to the blood soaking the sheets. Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind Claire with an ominous clap. Panic welled up inside her. "No! I need to help her!" she shouted, but her voice echoed back to her, mocking and alone. Lila thrashed violently, her skin twisting with an unnatural pulse. "Mom! Stop it! Please, she wants me!" The words melted into a tortured cry. Claire took a step back, her knees weak. Against her better judgment, she moved closer, desperate to reach her daughter. But as she extended a trembling hand toward the quivering mass that was once Lila, a bone-chilling voice slithered through the air. "Join us!" Claire's breath hitched. It wasn't just Lila speaking, there was something else, a chorus of whispers layered beneath her daughter's pain, a multitude now rising, suffocating in mockery of hope. "No!" Claire gasped. The reality hit her like a slap. Lila was no longer the girl she knew. Whatever dark force had infiltrated her, it was clawing its way out, siphoning the very essence of her soul. She stumbled backward, catching the edge of the table, its surface slick with an unidentifiable fluid. Desperation clawed at her heart. "Help! Someone! Anyone!" she screamed desperately. This wasn't just a hospital anymore, it had become a wellspring of nightmares, each scream feeding on the next, spiraling into an inferno of terror. Just then, the lights flickered violently, plunging them into strobe-like flashes. For brief moments, the figure revealed itself, a grotesque caricature of Lila's innocence, contorted and horrifying. And in those flashes, Claire saw it, the truth hiding beneath the surface. So many medical personnel gathered outside, and she realized nobody was coming to assist. A soft, sickening laugh filled the room, vibrating in her bones. "You cannot save her, Claire. She is ours." In that moment, Claire could only watch, paralyzed, as her daughter's body twisted further, a mockery of what was once pure and innocent. It was a fight she knew she was losing. Muffled voices outside grew increasingly frantic as the shadows in the corners began to pulse, expanding. Something was coming for them, drawn to the chaos. Claire felt the floor tremble beneath her feet, a quake that wasn't simply from fear, but something far more sinister awakening. Her waking nightmare had just begun, and Claire knew she had to act. But what could she do against a darkness so deep, a curse so ancient, that it made humanity itself seem fragile? As the shadow lurked closer, Claire's resolve strengthened. She wasn't ready to give up. Not yet. What unspeakable horrors awaited her if she couldn't save Lila? The next breath she took could be her last. With determination coursing through her, undeniably clearer than before, she called out again, now with trembling conviction, "I will save you, Lila." But as the shadows enveloped the room, she couldn't shake the feeling that the choice hadn't been hers at all. Would she stand against the darkness, or would it consume everything she loved? Claire's skin prickled with the sensation of unseen eyes watching her. The air felt electric, buzzing with an energy that wasn't there before. Lila writhed on the bed, her fingers clawing at the sheets, mistaking them for something alive. It was a battle for her very soul, and Claire stood in the center of it, a survivor caught in a storm. "Don't leave me!" Lila screamed again, her voice breaking, laced with a chilling echo that reverberated off the walls. The sounds twisted, like an orchestra of despair drowning in madness. The shadows danced closer, their edges whispering secrets that clawed at Claire's sanity. Panic ruled her mind, but a small, defiant spark ignited with every anguished gasp from her daughter. With gritted teeth, she reached for Lila, her hands trembling in a desperate grasp for connection. "I'm right here. Fight it, Lila." Each second felt like a lifetime as tendrils of darkness continued to ripple towards her, hungry and relentless. The twisted figure of her daughter, once radiating joy and innocence, now looked up through hollowed eyes filled with something unholy. Within those depths danced memories of laughter now twisted into derision. "She's here, she wants me," Lila hissed, her voice layered, no longer hers at all. "No. You're not alone," Claire cried, her heart pounding with the weight of despair and determination. In one swift motion, Claire lunged forward. As skin met skin, a shock shot through her, a jolt so powerful it came with a blinding light. For a brief moment, she felt Lila's warmth, the sweet essence of her daughter wrapping around her like a safe blanket. But that strength faded, partially ripped away when darkness struck back. A voice, rich with malice and delight, filled every crevice of the room, suffocating all hope. You think you can save her? Your love is futile. Claire's mind raced as the weight of those words sunk deeply into her bones. Suddenly, Lila's body turned rigid, the convulsions stopping abruptly as if an unseen force had seized her still. Claire stared in horror as the masked shadow revealed itself fully, taking the form of a woman swathed in darkness, glowing eyes inhaling joy and exhaling despair. Lila's mouth moved, but the voice was that of the entity that inhabited her. Do not think you can fight me, Claire. Your daughter is mine. Each syllable twisted like blades, and Claire recoiled, gripping the bed frame for stability. The world around her spun, colors blurring as she bore witness to the demonic ballet before her. The figure's eyes locked onto hers, an abyss that promised to devour all light. Let her go. Claire's shout rang defiantly, though it trembled on the fragile cusp of fear. An unsettling stillness blanketed the chaos as darkness pulsed in rhythm with Claire's racing heart. Time seemed to stretch, the moments suspended between hope and hopelessness. With a flick of a hand, the entity pulled Lila closer, sending Claire's world crashing down. You will pay for your defiance. The walls began to bleed shadows, vivid and thick, enveloping Claire's feet, drawing her into the abyss. Instinct took over, and she fought against the pull, screaming her daughter's name over and over into the void. Lila! Hold on! Please! But the shadows wrapped tighter, and just as she felt the first tendrils of despair bind her heart, Lila's eyes, now luminous with pure terror, locked onto her. Mom, I'm sorry. Sound echoed through her mind like a distant memory, suffocating warmth fading from her fingertips. Claire fought harder, the darkness closing in, hunger directed solely at her. As the door behind her began to groan open, revealing a sliver of blinding light, piercing through the shadows like a beacon of hope, Claire realized it may be her only chance. The shadows recoiled, pleadingly hissing as if they were afraid of what lay beyond, but Lila's silence loomed ominously. One desperate choice lay before her, leap into the light or remain trapped in this cauldron of terror that threatened to consume them both. Would she make the leap into the unknown, or would she sacrifice everything, including herself, in one last effort to reach her daughter? Time hung heavy, and she needed to decide. But as she stood there frozen between two worlds, an echo of the past whispered in her ear, what if I can't save her? The moment stretched, suffocating in its uncertainty. The light beckoned, promising salvation but shrouded in doubt. Claire's mind raced. Would stepping into that elusive glow burn away the darkness? Would it really free Lila, or was it another trick? Mom! Lila's voice broke through the haze, full of desperation and pain. The shadows pulsed around them, angry and fierce, thrumming with an energy that felt alive. Something deep inside Claire twisted, and she could almost see Lila's face shifting beneath the creeping blackness, her innocence battling to resurface. Claire's heart hammered, each beat a plea for urgency. Those luminous eyes, once filled with pure joy, now screamed for release. She felt it then, a raw, primal fear that clawed at her ribs. If she didn't act soon, the entity would consume everything that was Lila, leaving nothing but a hollow shell. Step away from her! Claire shouted, her voice cracking under the weight of her words. The darkness responded with a shudder, an angry response that sent tremors through the air. The entity smiled, the expression warped and serpentine, twisting Lila's features into a monstrous mask. You think you can save her? You would sacrifice yourself, such a foolish notion. The shadows slithered forward, thickening like a storm rolling in. Claire felt the icy tendrils brush against her skin, panic igniting her mind. What if the light was a lie? What if saving herself meant losing Lila forever? Mom! Lila's voice wavered, breaking Claire's thoughts. Hearing her daughter's true voice among the dissonance ignited a flame of resolve. Help me, don't let her win. Claire's instinct screamed at her to leap into that radiant slice of light. She could feel the warmth emanating from it, whispering promises of hope. But would it be bright enough to banish the demon lurking within her daughter? Summoning every ounce of willpower, Claire rushed forward, her mind set on Lila. But before she could touch her, a powerful force slammed against her, knocking her back. The walls pulsated fiercely, and Claire gasped as she felt the pressure crush her chest. Do you really think that love conquers all? This is your punishment. The voice of the entity thundered, booming with deep, reverberating laughter that echoed through the room. A jagged, demon-like hand shot out from the darkness, its claw-like fingers aiming for Claire's throat. She ducked instinctively, sending a surge of adrenaline through her veins. Fear was a strange motivator, it had her moving in overdrive. Desperation gripped her. She had lived for this moment, endured this horror to save Lila. Stay with me. Claire yelled, scrambling back toward the light. Fight it. You are stronger. But the shadows screamed, pulsing around them in a frenzy. Images of Lila's laughter flashed before Claire's mind, moments of summer sunlight, the two of them laughing on the swing set, stories told at bedtime. Claire blinked, forcing the warmth of those memories against the chilling hatred swirling in the room. With a leap of faith, she reached out, the light glimmering, beckoning with arms wide open. Would they break through the veil of darkness, or would it tear them apart? Mom! Please. Lila's voice strained, mixing fear and fierce love. Heart racing, Claire dove toward the light, arms outstretched as the shadows shrieked in fury. Expecting to escape, she sensed the moment stretch. A taut string pulled to the brink before it snapped, everything vanished in a blinding flash that swallowed her whole, drowning out cries and howls. And then silence. Claire fell into a void, the world around her gone. In that void, she heard a whisper, slithering through the silence, chilling her to her core. You've just begun to suffer, Claire. You can save her, but at what cost? The darkness grasped for her, pulling her deeper. Where was the light? Was it a trick, or had it really faded? Desperation clawed at Claire, and as the uncertainty swirled, dread settled in her chest. What deeper depths awaited her in this new realm? Would she truly risk everything for her daughter? Light flickered, barely illuminating the dense, shifting void Claire found herself in. It felt alive, hungry and foul. Even without sight, she could sense the eyes of the abyss watching her, assessing her every breath. Panic surged again as the walls of her new prison constricted around her, pressing tighter, mocking her feeble attempts to escape. Lila! She called, voice shaking. The name echoed back, hollow and disjointed, swallowed by the endless darkness. No response. Just that haunting silence that threatened to crush her sanity. Then, a shudder reverberated through the emptiness, and Claire's heart raced like a wild horse. She felt it brushing against her, like cobwebs hanging heavy with moisture. Shadows wove in and out of her grasp, whispering cold secrets. You can't save her, Claire. Given the voice was seductive yet chilling, wrapping around her senses like a serpent ready to strike. Who was speaking? Was it the entity, the demon, or was it something worse? Truth rolled through her mind like a river of dread. She was trapped in a realm where hope withered like autumn leaves. Where are you? Claire cried again, but fear wrapped around her tongue. What if she was all alone? A gleaming light flickered again, far off and just out of reach. She stumbled towards it, every muscle screaming in protest. The shadows curled around her, thick and suffocating, as if the darkness itself wanted to cocoon her into oblivion. Mom! Lila's voice pierced through the haze, that sweet, desperate call earth-shattering in its clarity. It ignited a spark of resolve that coursed through Claire's veins. She instinctively lunged toward the sound, twisting and turning, her heart thrumming wildly. Hang on. I'm coming. She yelled, pushing back against the smothering dark. How far could she go, risking becoming lost herself? Mom, it hurts. Lila's cry morphed into a sob, raw and wrenching. The pain in that voice was a knife through Claire's heart. The void trembled, shadows writhing in fury. Foolish woman. You are too late. It was the demon again, its voice slithering through reality, tightening around Claire like a noose. Shut up. Claire roared, fury fueling her movements. She could feel cold sweat slick on her skin, adrenaline pouring through her like molten lava. Every ounce of fear was shifted into ferocity. Lila, keep fighting. Fingers outstretched, Claire surged forward, biting back the tide of despair. The light pulsed in time with her heartbeat, and, with one last desperate push, Claire lunged. Suddenly, she broke through the shadows. A warm glow enveloped her, bathing her in gold with the promise of salvation. She could see Lila not fully, but enough to know her daughter was there, surrounded by an oppressive darkness that clawed fiercely at her. Mom. Is that you? Lila's voice trembled, flickers of hope mingling with the darkness. Claire reached out, the warmth from her daughter's presence radiating, inviting her closer. Just hold on, sweetheart. I'm almost there. Claire felt warmth against her fingertips, a sharp contrast to the cold, menacing tendrils swirling around them. But even as Claire felt her hope rising, Lila's face twisted, pain flickering across her features. It's fighting me, I can't. The shadows erupted into a frenzy, howling with fury. They pulled at Claire, dragging her back, filling her lungs with darkness. Claire gasped, choking against it, fear tangling with desperation. The entity's laughter echoed, a haunting mockery, swirling like a twisted ballet around them. Sacrifice is inevitable. No. Claire screamed, her determination solidifying into a shield. She had to save her daughter. Had to break through this veil of terror. The shadows seized her, claws tearing at her limbs. She felt the cold creeping in, urging her to surrender, but the glint of Lila's eyes burned through the chaos, anchoring her. I won't leave you. Fight it. Just then, Lila glowed a faint blue, a fragile light against the all-consuming dark. Mom, please, it's too strong. But Claire wouldn't falter. She felt the power of their connection filling her. We'll break this together. Just believe. In a split second, Lila's light intensified, merging with Claire's energy, defying the consuming evil around them. The shadows screeched, fury giving way to confusion. For a heartbeat, Claire believed they could overcome, and in that fleeting moment of belief, the shadows faltered. It was just enough. Claire thrust her arm forward, longing to meet her daughter halfway, but as she reached, the dark claw snapped forward, catching Claire by the wrist. Pain shot through her body, severing the light. And then the void swallowed her scream whole. What lay beyond the darkness now? What would it cost them both? Claire felt the icy tendrils slice through at their connection. In the heart of the shadows, doubt clawed at her. Could she really save Lila from the abyss? The shadows coiled tighter, wrapping around Claire like an anaconda suffocating its prey. Her heart raced, pumping cold dread through her veins. She could barely breathe. Panic surged, and she clawed at the darkness, but nothing gave way. It was as if she were at the core of a black hole, spiraling into the depths of despair. Mom. A voice whispered, faint and fragile as gossamer. Lila, Lila. Claire screamed, but her voice felt swallowed by the void once more. She could hear Lila's gasps, the distress weaving in the fabric of the silence. Each breath was a reminder of the time slipping away, of the danger closing in on them both. The walls of the darkness pulsed, thrumming with an ominous energy that made Claire's skin crawl. Shadows flitted past, darting out of reach before merging back into the suffocating nothingness. She was losing herself in this frigid prison, and the remnants of her hope began to wane, faded like an old photograph. You can't help her. The demon's voice roared, echoing through Claire's mind like an insistent drumbeat. Futility is your only ally. No. Claire cried, a mixture of anger and fear surging within her, fighting for control. I won't let you take her. The darkness seemed to laugh, taunting her with a sinister glee. Your will is weak. You only make it worse for her. Focus, Claire thought. Her fingers trembled with exertion against the chilling touch of despair, feeling Lila's presence waver, flickering like a dying flame. She had to reach her. She couldn't let Lila drown in this darkness. Stay with me. Claire shouted into the abyss, straining against the shadows that scratched and clawed at her. She felt the icy grip loosening slightly, whether from her defiance or the demon's amusement, she couldn't tell. Another flicker of blue caught her eye, illuminating the edges of despair. Mom, it hurts, Lila sobbed, voice trembling, breaking Claire's heart. I'm here, honey. I am right here. Her voice was a lifeline, and she pushed harder, heart hammering as determination washed over her. Claire pulled herself forward again, fueled by Neil and Lila's frightened, shimmering light. The shadows recoiled slightly, giving her the time to move closer. Believe in me. Claire willed, pushing the warmth of her spirit outward. Then, the shadows shrieked, as if startled by her defiance, an eerie symphony of chaos swirling around them. Just as they were about to connect, a wave of darkness surged back, and the familiar laughter echoed. You think you can defy the dark? You are nothing but a moth drawn to flame. The shadows tightened again, overwhelming her, and all at once, Claire felt a gripping sorrow as if the very essence of her being was being sucked dry. She could see Lila distinctly now, but the range of darkness that separated them transformed Lila's image into something grotesque. Mom! Lila screamed. Claire could barely look. Lila's face twisted, stretched by the shadows, bugged eyes full of terror, trapped in some horrifying limbo between existence and nothingness. No! Don't look! Claire cried, tears blurring her vision. Her heart shattered at the sight of her daughter's pain. Was it too late? Was this soul steeped in dread forever lost? Sweat slid down Claire's brow, and she felt her strength ebbing. The darkness crept deep into her thoughts, whispering fearful notions. You will fail. She belongs to me now. Desperately, Claire forced her eyes to stay locked with Lila's. Fight, Lila. You are stronger than this. It was a last plea, a flicker of hope amidst the chaos. Then, suddenly, Lila's eyes widened, and a blinding flash of blue erupted from within her. Claire felt warmth blossom, then surge. It coursed through the void, slicing through the frigid dark, but the shadows recoiled in anger, a new ferocious entity manifesting as tendrils rushed to snuff out the light. The malevolent laughter descended like a storm. You can't escape. Not now, not ever. No. Claire bellowed, the slivers of her remaining strength rechurning into forceful energy. I'm coming for you, Lila. Suddenly, the dark claw wrapped around Claire's throat, squeezing, threatening to pull her under as desperation roared through her, but could she truly give in? Was surrender her only option now? The shadows shrieked, furious, as they began to close in tighter like a vice. Claire inhaled sharply, but then, there was an unexpected ripple, a disturbance in the thick air, something waking up beneath it. What was it? What did it mean for Lila and herself? Claire felt a stirring deep within, perhaps a remnant of the shadows fighting back against themselves. Perhaps, they could be turned against the darkness. A thought tinged with fear and hope. Could love still break through? Would it be enough, or would it only twist and trap them deeper into the void's embrace? A wave of desperation surged through Claire as she screamed Lila's name, the darkness tightening its grip like a death sentence. But she couldn't stop fighting. Something in her was awakening. It felt like a reaction. A spark. Was it hope? Or a trap? Come on, Lila. Claire pushed against the shadows, feeling the raw energy from the light Lila had conjured. It flickered like a candle in the wind, defiant yet fragile. She grasped onto that small beacon, drawing strength from it. We're getting out. I promise. But the void was unrelenting. Tendrils lashed out, digging deeper into her consciousness. Each movement felt like swimming through thick syrup, resistance impossible. The shadows whispered her doubts, flooding her mind with fear. You're not enough. She's mine. Never. Claire managed to shout against the suffocating weight, her voice cracking. The shadows chuckled, a sickly sound that echoed in the darkness. The laughter felt intimate, familiar, gnawing at her sanity. Suddenly, Lila's blue light began to pulse. It flickered like a desperate heartbeat struggling against the despair. Claire's heart ached to see her daughter's essence wavering. Lila, hold on. Do you see it? Do you feel it? You're stronger than this. Then, a spine-chilling screech erupted. Shadows writhed, morphing and twisting like creatures slinking away from the light. The darkness began to shift, enveloping them both. You think you can fight? I will consume you both. I won't let you. Claire shrieked back, a primal roar cutting through the darkness. And in that moment, her determination sparked a counterforce. The shadows blinked, hesitating. Lila's light surged, a brilliant explosion of blue radiating from within her. The shadows recoiled and shuddered, confounded by this unexpected assault. Together, Mom. Lila's voice was a fragile echo. We can do this. With everything she had, Claire willed the warmth of her spirit into Lila, calling upon the memories, summer days at the lake, laughter, and joy. The shadows snarled, and Claire felt the force of their rage. Your memories are weak. The demon bellowed, but Claire felt something shift within her. The shadows wrapped tighter, pulling at every thread of her spirit. No. She gasped, feeling the warmth bleeding into every crevice of despair. These memories are our power. The darkness screamed, the sound disorienting. Claire felt Lila responding, a ripple of energy dancing through the air. She could feel the warmth electrifying against the cold. It was a battle of opposites, love versus despair. Let her go. Claire shouted, feeding Lila's light with her racing heart. You have no hold over us. For a moment, time stood still. Shadows flickered and trembled, caught in a struggle Claire could only partially see. A war raged, a ghostly clash of light and dark around them. But then, the darkness surged back, exploding into a violent storm, swarming around them like a cyclone. You think flickers can change the tide? You're an insect. Claire stood firm, choking on fear, heart thundering in her chest. Could they truly win this fight? What if the light they fought so hard to protect was just a mirage? Don't look back. Lila's voice broke through, clear and resolute. I'm here. We're a team. The shadows faded momentarily, unsure. Claire took a step forward, emboldened by the love radiating between them. Fight with me, Lila. Show them our love. In that surge of connection, Claire felt the darkness reel. This time it wasn't just fear, there was uncertainty. But how long could they hold out? The shadows twisted back, their fury igniting. They clung to the very essence of fear and panic, coiling tighter, threatening to crush any hope left. Would the bond between them be enough? As Claire and Lila marched forward into the chaotic storm, a chilling realization struck Claire: what else was lurking in the depths of the shadows waiting to be unleashed? A low, sinister rumble echoed, resonating through the void as the demon roared, "You have no idea what horrors await. This is just the beginning." The walls trembled. The path forward darkened. Claire held her breath, uncertain of the next step. What new terror would they face now? And was it already too late? The storm of shadows roared around them, and Claire squeezed Lila's hand tighter. Every inch of her skin prickled with unease as the suffocating dark pushed in. Tendrils slithered around them, and she could feel icy dread crawling up her spine. Stay close. She yelled, but her voice felt swallowed, lost in the chaos. The blue light pulse was dimming. Claire's chest tightened. Don't you dare give up, she urged, digging deep into her own resolve. We have to fight. Remember the beach, when we flew the kite? A flicker of blue ignited in response, and Lila's baleful light soared higher. It broke through the shadows, sending sizzling arcs crackling in every direction. Laughter from previously felt monstrous grew distant, overwrought with confusion. The darkness hissed, recoiling from the sudden brightness, as if it were a creature stung. You think memories can save you? They are dust in the wind. The demon spat, its voice a rumbling growl, vibrating through Claire's bones. A flick of panic shot through her veins. Dust in the wind? They were more than that. They were strength, the threads binding their very souls. Somehow, she had to convince Lila to remember even more, to summon every cherished recollection they had. Claire's thoughts raced. What about the first time you rode your bike? She shouted. You were so brave. Lila responded, her light shimmering. I remember. Mom, I was so scared. I was scared too, but you conquered that fear. You can do it again. The words felt right, resonating with an unshakable urgency. Claire seized hold of the fading light as if she could pull it back with her bare hands. The shadows snarled in protest, brushing against her skin like razor-thin blades, freezing her resolve. You think a simple memory can protect you? The demon croaked. You know nothing of true fear. The air grew thick, laden with centuries of despair trapped within the tangles of darkness. Claire shuddered as the shadows flickered, seeming to shift shapes, faces of the lost, of the forgotten, nightly figures grasping for something, anything. No. Claire shouted, rising defiantly. You won't take my daughter. You won't take our memories. With each word screamed into the void, her voice grew stronger, fueled by the fate of Lila, their love illuminating the path. The shadows flinched again, their forms wavering, but Claire could feel their grip tightening on her heart. Fight it, Lila. Remember the new friends you made last summer. It happened. A spark ignited in Lila's eye, the blue brightened as soft laughter drifted amid the chaos. A breath of warmth surged through the coldness, lifting shadows as they recoiled in agony. Suddenly, something shifted in the depths of the darkness, a shift within the void. A low-pitched growl, deep and raking, resonated from somewhere beyond the swirling shadows. You've awoken something far worse, it breathed, an echo that felt like a dagger against Claire's soul. Fear exploded inside her. What else is there? The demon howled as if mocking her question. What else? What else? The depth of despair lives where even those like you wouldn't dare to tread. With that knowledge, dread curled around Claire's insides like a snake. Together with Lila, she would face whatever was lurking, but uncertainty pulled at the edges of her mind. What if they weren't strong enough? Their fight had just begun, but what could possibly await them in the darkness? The tremors of the ground beneath them shook. The shadows twisted ominously, pulling back but with an urgency that sent a chill rushing through Claire's body. They weren't just fighting a demon anymore. A hunger stirred deep within the void. What would emerge from it? And as the shadows began to twist and pulse at the very ground, something began to shift, something that had been waiting. Claire drew in a breath, health fading, heart racing. What does it want? She gasped, her voice tiny against the growing terror. The shadows laughed, a cacophony of voices rising, falling, blurring a hint of something larger, darker coming just for them. With a sudden and terrifying surge, the shadows coiled and stretched, forming into grotesque shapes, abstract versions of fear and sorrow. Claire stood firm, heart pounding. She felt Lila's essence flicker beside her, a light so fragile but still fighting against the overwhelming darkness. Mom! What is happening? Lila's voice trembled, laced with fear. I don't know, but we must stand together, Claire urged, reaching out to hold Lila's hand tight, hoping that their connection would fortify their spirits against the oncoming storm. The shadows moaned, conjuring memories of pain from the air around them. You think you can defeat despair? It has no end, said the demon's voice, resonating with a satisfaction that sent shivers down Claire's spine. Breathlessly, Claire gripped Lila's hand even tighter. She looked into her daughter's eyes, searching for the spark of that unyielding light. Remember all our adventures. Think of the day we built that fort, how we laughed until we couldn't breathe. Lila's eyes glimmered, a flicker of remembrance breaking through the shadows. The one we decorated with fireflies? And the picnic, the jam sandwiches. Claire felt hope clawing its way back into her heart as Lila smiled through her fear. Yes. That day was filled with light. Hold on to it. Claire urged, and the room seemed to swell with energy, the shadows briefly pushing back against the warmth of their shared memories. Such pathetic memories. The demon hissed, its voice like a raspy wind, swirling through the chaos. You believe mere recollections can shield you from the abyss? Join me instead, I will grant you eternal power. Your power is nothing but chains. Claire roared back, every ounce of her being igniting with fierce motherly love. We won't fall for your lies. The swirling shadows splintered slightly in response to her conviction. For a moment, both mother and daughter felt a surge of energy course through them, bolstered by the strength of their bond. But the darkness hissed back, furious. You defy me? Then face my true form. The atmosphere shifted dramatically, shadows coalescing into a monstrous presence. A figure emerged from the depths, a twisted silhouette sculpted from terror, its wicked eyes like burning coals. Claire's stomach churned as a primal fear seized her. Stay close. We are stronger together. She shouted desperately, pulling Lila closer. Mom, I'm scared. Lila's voice quavered, but Claire could see the resolve fighting within her. Just listen to me, Claire pressed, heart racing. We're going to push back. Remember every moment of joy we've ever shared. Channel that love. With renewed determination, Lila closed her eyes, drawing on every cherished memory, summer storms, shared laughter, late-night whispers filled with dreams. Claire could feel the light emanating from her daughter, growing stronger, as if fueled by pure love, even as the demon raged, clawing from the shadows with twisted limbs. Claire stepped forward, holding Lila's hand high. Together, we can conquer this. The warmth radiating from them pulsed, the blue light brightening, piercing through the darkness. As the demon snarled, the shadows recoiled, blinded by the strength of their bond. Fight it. Don't let it dim your light. Claire shouted, embracing the light with every breath, shouting in unison. Claire and Lila forced their memories of joy into the heart of darkness. They summoned echoes of laughter and running feet through grass, their hearts pounding in sync with a newfound roar. Then, unexpectedly, the shadows began to dissolve, the demon howling in despair as light surged forward. No. You cannot escape. It screeched, but Claire felt it, the pull of power rising from their love. The demon's form faltered, the darkness shrinking back as they united against it. Feel the love. Claire cried out, feeling the fabric of reality bend around them. We are not bound by fear. With one final surge of light, Claire pushed forward, tilting her chin defiantly. This isn't your realm. You have no hold over us. The shadows screamed in anger, but it was too late. Lila's light merged with Claire's, and together they thrust the brilliance forward, an engulfing wave of love and memory that tore through the darkness, scattering twisted silhouettes like leaves in the wind. The demon let out its final, choked scream, echoing into nothingness as the shadows were banished, retreating back into the void from where they had come. Claire gasped, warmth flooding back into the space around them as light enveloped them. Suddenly, they were standing in a sunlit field, the air sweet and fresh, the shadows lifted. Mom. Lila whispered, wide-eyed as she looked around. Yes, sweetheart. We did it. Claire's heart soared as she engulfed Lila in a tight embrace. They both sank to their knees, relief flooding over them like a cleansing wave. Lila began to sob, tears flowing freely. I was so scared I thought I lost you. I'm right here. You're safe now. Claire held her tight, feeling powerfully grateful. The light from their memories danced around them, vibrant and alive, knitting a bond that darkness could never sever again. As they took a moment, breathing deeply, understanding filled their hearts. They emerged together, stronger, forever tied by the light of love that had helped them triumph over fear, and in their hearts, they both knew the struggle had forged an unbreakable connection that not even darkness could infiltrate. They turned to face the future, ready to continue their journey, unyielding and united. So, if you enjoyed this epic conclusion, you need to subscribe now. Make sure you don't miss any exclusive stories that could be coming soon. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and help spread the word. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. How did this twist impact you? And don't forget to instantly share this story with at least 5 friends who need to hear this amazing resolution. Don't wait even one more second to support the channel in these ways.